day. Okay, we got a lot to talk about. First thing I want to say is this. I want to be clear about a couple of things, just so we can be clear. Um, Today, most of the witnesses that came up today, they were basically up there. They were talking about cell phones. So there's a lot of technical things. We also had a doctor come up there. We're going to talk about what the doctor said. A couple of things I want to mention first, as usual, whenever we're doing our actual show, the first 10 minutes, I like to do like, the monologue or whatever. It's not necessarily directly having to do with whatever the subject matter is. But I do want to say this, and this is going to have to deal with what was happening in court today, but it's just BS stuff that I want to talk about. I want to say this just so we can be clear. It's important to dress nice. I think that one of the things that we should do, especially with our children, is teach them. Like, of course, they want to wear the new hip thing, but I think we also need to teach our children how to dress, like just so they could be. So when they become adults, they know how to dress. Just dress. Like, I'm gonna keep it a stack with you. Ever since I've been a kid, often I put my clothes out the day before. Like, I plan on what I want to wear the day before. So just something that I want, because often we're talking about how we're trying to give our kids confidence in themselves. Often we're trying to talk about how we're gonna get up, make our train our kids to become adults while they're still kids. I show up to the court today, and everybody is dressed in some of their finest duds. And one of the things that I want to say, when you look at professional people and when you look at people who's in the business world, doing whatever they're doing, making the money and doing things, whatever they're doing, they usually have a high esteem and they usually dress well. So it's fine and it's dope to wear all of the hoodies and the t-shirts that we love, but just make sure that your children, all of your kids, know how to dress like a man, know how to dress like a woman. I just want to put that out there because in court today, and just in general, not just the individuals that were, the players in this particular stage, but also just the people that were showing up to court, like people just dressing like they care. Let's start making sure that our children grow up dressing like they care. Take one day out of the week and make your kid wear a damn tie. Take one day out of the week, put your daughter in a skirt. And I don't want to hear, oh, girls skirts. I don't want to hear all that BS. One day out of the week, everybody in your family get in your nicest clothes and go do something. Please, just one day out the week. You don't know the difference that might make future for them in their lives. And I just want to say this, R.I.P. to Bertha Taylor. R.I.P. to Zig. He gave me a lot of hand-me-down clothes. That's one of my cousins. Wait, not R.I.P. Zig's still alive. Shout out to Zig. My apologies. Shout out to Zig. R.I.P. Bertha Taylor. Shout out to Zig. There's other people who also I got hand-me-downs from or whatever when I was growing up. But shout out to Zig because I always got button shirts from him. So I've been wearing button shirts my whole life. Like my whole entire life I've been wearing, like ever since, not my whole life, ever since I turned about 15, 16 years old, the majority of my shirts you hang up in closets. Like I didn't even have that many t-shirts. Just to show how few t-shirts I had. I was dating this girl named Tamika. And so apparently she made sure one of my t-shirts stayed at her house. It was a Purple's Lakers t-shirt. I still remember it to this day. And yeah, so I only had like 2 t-shirts. And I only had 2 t-shirts. You know what I'm saying? I'm 15, 16 years old. I think it was 16, 15, 16 years old. I had 2 t-shirts. All of my other shirts were button shirts. With that being said, let's get into this. One more thing I want to add. So once again, shout out to the judge, Judge Clotter, Judge Clot, pardon me. Shout out to Judge Clot once again. I just want to throw this out there. We've been fortunate. We've covered 2 cases in court, one in the federal court, this one right here. And we've been fortunate. We had Judge Engelmeyer the first time, and this time we got Judge Clot. And so I'm going to say, so I was thinking to myself today, Like, what's the big differences between the two judges? They're both excellent, but what makes them stand out like different? And I was like thinking to myself today, and I was like, when you look at Judge Engelmeyer, he was more like a Nolan Ryan. And you know, like if you know anything about baseball terminology, he was more like a Nolan Ryan, but he didn't have the attitude. I'm talking about with the pitching ability. He was just really sharp with what he was doing. And Judge Klott is probably more like a Greg Maddux. You know what I'm saying? Like, he makes the thing, like, it's hard for me to explain. That was the best analogies that I could give. Anyway, so today, just so we can be clear, it was day 2. We had a lot of the medical mumbo jumbo that they was talking about, a lot of medical stuff that they was speaking on. So that's what we're going to be covering today. Also, besides the medical, they had telephone situation. They was had some a detective come, and they had a I don't know what to call her. Hold on, I wrote it down. She is a assistant. She works in the DA's office, and she's an investigation analyst. I mean, that's what it says. That's what they said. She curates digital evidence, apparently. That there's some software that's named ARC GIS software, and using the ARC GIS software, she was able to facilitate the latitude and the longitude for the locations where the cell phones was being used at. I don't, we'll get into that a little bit later. So just so we can be clear, before I even start this, I want to say something. If I am saying anything that you believe to be incorrect and you want to address me on it, just talk to me like I'm a human being. I'm not these other YouTube content creators that want to argue with you. I don't want to argue with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't care for that. If I'm saying something that you deem to be incorrect, just explain it and talk to me. Like, it's really that simple. If you come and you give me some effed up energy, please don't then look at me weird if I don't want to deal with it. You understand? Because that's how people will give it up. Somebody will come to you with a bad attitude, and then but expect for you to be like, oh, bossa. Nah, like, I don't want to deal with it. Like, I don't even want to argue with you. I don't want to deal with it. You understand what I'm saying? So if I'm saying anything that you deem or believe to be incorrect, that's not a problem. Just please address me like an adult, like the grown man that I am, and I'm going to address you like the adult, grown man and or woman that you might be. Don't tell me you're non-binary. No disrespect to them, but we're not doing this. Okay, we're just not doing this. Like, we're not doing this. If you come in here and I have a lot of trolls. I have a lot of people that literally do want me dead. So if you come in here and you interact with me in the manner like you might be favoring them, don't be surprised when I just don't want to deal with it. You understand? And then when I don't want to deal with it, don't then think that I think that you might be wrong. What you're saying might be right. It's just the way that you're saying it is not something that I'm not willing to be spoken to like that. You understand what I'm saying? I just don't want to deal with it. It's not so situation where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna beat you up. I'm just gonna be like, look, I don't have to talk to you. Like, it's that simple. I'm not like other people. I don't look to get revenge. That's not my thing. All right. So let's get to the actual content, just so we can be clear. So court started. That's when we re-entered the courtroom. Wait, what? Oh, we started late today. It must be 10:45. Hold on. Give me a second. Yeah, that was 10:45. So about 10:45, the jury entered the court. The first evidence that they put up that they spoke about today. Wait, this is day 2, March 1st. The first evidence that they spoke about today was the gunshot victims. One was Ronald Collins, as we all know, Troy Ave. Another one was Maggie Hextel. I believe that's her name. I got it written down. When we go over it, if it's wrong, I'll correct it. And another one was the Chris Vincent guy. Those was exhibit 5, 6, 7, and 8. Just so we could be clear. Those exhibits 5, 6, 7, and 8. Just so we could be clear. And the first witness today was actually a doctor. It was Dr. Tendam. He's a attending surgeon. So basically what his job is, just so we can be clear, he is like one of the main surgeons. So a hospital is like this. So they have the hospital, right? So at all times, they have to have an attending physician. The attending physician is like the head physician. So basically, if something happens at the hospital and they have to have somebody sign off on it, his name always has to be there. It's like the manager, or it's like the head supervisor. So he has a co-partner that's also an attending physician there. He's one of the attending surgeons at the hospital at NYU at the time that he was there, just so we can be clear. If you want to know what his credentials is, he's been in Bellevue Hospital for 8 years. His duties, he's in administration, clientele, and educational. Basically, he's administration. Obviously, he's in charge. As far as with the clients, he actually sees clients, obviously, patients, and educational. He does teaching. He also does follow-ups. He's a director of surgical care, also quality control, also trauma unit, also. In addition to that, he's performed approximately about, somewhere in the realm of about 1,600, surgeries. He's a trauma surgeon, severely injured. That's what trauma surgeon is. He's been a trauma surgeon since about 1998. So he is 100% qualified to have a conversation about all of these things, just so we can be clear. He does simple surgeries all the way to complex surgeries, just so we can be clear. Also, in addition to that, he's had 4 years of med school, 2 years in college. And on top of that, he has a fellowship 1 year in Maryland and another fellowship 1 year at Harvard, at Yale, Yale and Hartford, pardon me. In addition to that, before working at Bellevue, he worked in the Maryland Hospital and the Hartford Hospital. And in addition to that, he did undergraduate at Penn State and fellowship in critical care. So he is 100% equipped to have a conversation about all of these things. So when I'm telling you what he's saying, or when I tell you what, my interpretation of what he's saying, please don't then argue with me. This man is obviously equipped to handle these questions, just so we could be clear. And also, he's been working 8 years. He's been in New York when he moved here for 8 years. I guess that's when he started working at Bellevue. And he's treated gunshot wounds, just so we can be clear. He finished his schooling in 98, yada, yada. There's a whole bunch of other stuff y'all don't need to know. That's for me. And then it says, okay, so just so you can understand the difference between the trauma, there is level 1 trauma that's life-threatening, and then there's level 2 trauma, right? So level 1 trauma is we have to immediately do surgery because this person, they might die. So basically what happened was on May 25th, 2016, he was called that night. He received records. 3 people was admitted with gunshot wounds. He was not there to admit them. Somebody else actually took over all of that. Somebody else actually took care of all of that, just so you could be clear. He was on call that night, but he received records that 3 people was admitted. They saw them during the hospital. 2 people he never saw personally. He saw 1 person with the 3rd person. So People's Exhibit 8 was the NYU records of Troy Ave, Roland Collins. I believe it says he was admitted at 10:46. He was He was taken to NYU. He was in NYU. So what had happened was NYU. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you this because I've actually been to these hospitals. So basically, what happened is this: NYU is down the block from Bellevue Hospital. So what happens often with NYU and Bellevue is Bellevue might have NYU is a teaching school, by the way. It's a teaching hospital, by the way. Like they do a lot of teaching there. Like if you're in New York City, like I could go down to NYU and they'll pull teeth for me. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. Like they'll give you like certain for free, by the way. You could get free work done at NYU because it's a teaching school. So they have the doctors in there that they're teaching. You understand what I'm saying? So what happened often is sometimes people will go to NYU and instead of whatever procedures being done there at NYU, because these procedures are the doctors that are there are learners. So what they'll do is they'll ship them right down the block. Like if they're both on First Avenue, by the way. So they'll ship them right down the block, throw them in an ambulance. It's like 4 or 5 blocks, not even that far. You know what I'm saying? So basically what happened was Troy Ave pulls up to NYU. His people pull up and they pull up in the van. One of his people run inside. When the person runs inside, they go and they get a police officer. The police officer pulled up in court today. Just so we can be clear. So they run down the block. They then put him in the ambulance and they take him to Bellevue Hospital. They take him to Bellevue Hospital. It was about 10:45 that night. That's when he was trained. Wait, he arrived at NYU at about 10:45. They shipped him to Bellevue at about 1 a.m. He had injuries. He had 2 wounds, just so we can be clear. He had the 1 bullet that was still lodged in his left leg, and I believe it was his right leg. Damn, I just spilled coffee on my leg, and I'm wearing light colored pants. He had the gunshot wound that was a through and through in one leg, and in the other leg, the bullet was lodged right above the knee. It was just in there. They had to extract the bullet. So he had the 2 wounds, and so the left leg just above the knee, and then it was palpable. Like you could see the bullet, like you could feel the bullet in his leg. You understand what I'm saying? It was on top of the flesh. It wasn't very deep. The bullet that was still in his leg, just so we can be clear. There was an X-rays, the Bellevue, and then they ended up discharging him. He was transferred to Bellevue on discharge. Pardon me. I'm just gonna run through all of this, and then I'm gonna have the actual commentary about whatever. I just want to give y'all the facts. The medical record says that he had his knee irrigated. Basically, what that is that they had to make sure that he don't get any infections. So they cleaned out the wound. That's basically what the irrigation is. They said that the bullet was in the muscle or bone generally already removed. So for everybody that don't know, I didn't know this. So this is something that y'all might not know. So you know how you be hearing how people still got the bullet in them? And I always thought, why didn't they just take it out? Like I watched all of those movies. They cut you open, they take the bullet out. Now, before I say this, I remember I've seen a movie. I've seen more than one movie where they left the bullet in, and they explained that they left the bullet in because it was in too deep. I never really understood that. The doctor today, Dr. Tandem, he explained. See, basically, if the bullet is lodged into like the muscle, deep into the muscle, they don't go get it because they could cause more damage to the person. Remember, the Hippocratic Oath says not to do harm to the patient. So if it's lodged too deep into the muscle, they don't go get it because they'll have to cut into the muscle so much that in reality, they're going to do more harm than they're going to do good. In addition to that, also, if it's in the bone, they leave it there also because then they're going to have to go too deep into the bone and they're going to, cause more damage bringing the bullet out. So they leave the bullet in them. And that's why you got some people that's walking around with bullets in them to this day because you just couldn't take the bullet out. And that's basically, I believe, the situation that happened with the young lady because the young lady still have the bullet in her, just so we can be clear. But in his specific case, Troy Ave, the bullet, it was a superficial. That means that it was not that deep. It was close to the skin. They were able to remove it. He had 2 holes in the right leg above the knee, and he had another hole in the left thigh, and that's where they took the bullet out of. They also can't tell how many bullets made the holes. So basically, the judge, pardon me, the doctor also said, just so we could be clear, that they don't know how many. I should slow down, right? I think I'm speaking really quick. All right, so I'm gonna slow down. I think I'm talking really fast. All right, so basically, just so we can be clear, the doctor also said that he doesn't know how many times Troy Ave actually was shot. Okay, so there was, and he alluded. I can't remember if it was the doctor today or there was somebody yesterday, but I believe it was the doctor today. Alluded to there's a good chance that Troy Ave was actually only shot one time. It was a through and through on one leg, and it's quite possibly that through and through went through one leg, and that same bullet ended up in the other leg. Allegedly. I think so. He didn't say that that is what happened, but what he did say was he alluded to that, like kinda, like that's what I got from it. Just so we can be clear, he was discharged on the 30th, May 30th, to the Department of Corrections. So Troy Ave went straight to jail after all of this was over. Because remember, they had the vehicle with the guns and all that, right? We're gonna get to the detective and the police officer. They spoke on that. Also, Troy have had a little bit of atrophy. For anybody that don't know what atrophy is, basically atrophy is when you're not using the muscle, so it's like basically slowly dies from lack of use. You know what I'm saying? Like when you have somebody that they can't move around. Well, let's say they get in a coma. Let's say they're in a coma, and so they're laying in a bed in a coma for like a 5 years or whatever. Their muscles have atrophy because their muscles have not been being used. They probably can't even walk. If they try to get up and walk, they're gonna stumble because they're not gonna be strong enough. You understand what I'm saying? So but that's when extreme atrophy, obviously. He had a little bit of atrophy. And he needed physical therapy to get the muscles back strong again. On July 14th, they had a follow-up. He was in a wheelchair. Remember, he got let go and sent to the Department of Corrections on May 30th. On July 14th, they had a follow-up. He was in a wheelchair or ever since the whole entire time when he was locked up in jail. The accident, but he didn't have discomfort when he was walking. He just was in the wheelchair, whatever. Recommended to follow up, but they wasn't sure if that actually happened. All right, so People's Exhibit 6 was Chris Vincent. The records of Chris Vincent, we still have the same doctor, and he's speaking. And basically, he said that his partner saw the patient. He didn't see the patient. So the doctor that they had on the stand, this is what I gathered, right? I could be wrong, but this is what I gathered. The doctor that they had on the stand that was doing the testimony today, he's basically like the spokesman. You understand? He's basically, whenever they got to go to court, he pull up. That's what I believe that was, because he wasn't the attending physician. He wasn't the he didn't see the people. He just was able to read the paperwork and discern what was going on in the paperwork and be able to translate it to the courts. Not everybody can get in front of a court on a stand and do well. So I guess, that's his job. He's good at this. He's, like I said, a teacher. Anyway, the gunshot wound to the abdomen of the dude. The reason I'm talking about all these gunshots real quick because there's some stuff that I want to talk about that actually leads into this. So I want to fly through this, by the way. So Chris Vincent, he didn't get seen by the doctor that was there. He got seen by his partner. He had the gunshot wound that was in his upper abdomen. It's up the torso area, and it got lodged in his hip. That's him. They extracted the bullet from his hip. They say that he's the dude that got shot from the floor under. We're about that. They went to a break in a second, so after I finish this, then I'm going to actually have a conversation about the thing, and then I'll get back to the paperwork in a minute. But hold on. So, dude had to have 13 centimeters of intestines removed. They were trying to figure out what 13 centimeters of intestines was in a damn courtroom. I want to see what intestines is. The 13 centimeters to issue. 30 centimeters. Inches, 30 centimeters to inches. So he had 11 inches of intestines apparently removed. Give me 1 minute. So the dude that got shot had 11 centimeters of intestines removed. Shout out to Ramsey Bryan. Shout out to Rugi Hauser. Shout out to Brooklyn Nasdaq. He had 11 inches of intestine removed. I got something to say about that real quick, and then I want to talk about the actual shooting. I want to give a breakdown of what the actual shooting. I'm going to go over the actual shooting again. But he had 13 inches of intestines removed. The paperwork said 30 centimeters. 30 centimeters is 11.8 inches. So he basically had 12 inches. Yeah, that's what we came up with in court, by the way. Hold on. Is that what we came up with in court? Yep. And I scratched it out. He had 12 inches of intestine removed. So there was a big something about this something. We'll get to that in a minute. So they looked at the abdomen. They had to go in. They did this thing called a perio. Wait, what was the name of this shit at? They did not do a CAT scan. They did this other thing, a laparotomy, right? There's two different words. I hope I'm saying the right one. And basically, they put a camera up in him because they didn't put him through a CAT scan. They didn't X-ray, right? So there was no injuries to any other part of his body. Like no organs or anything like that. The injury was only to the intestine. They removed the intestines, put them back together. That was less invasive way. And the way that they did it reduces hernias, which he also is suffering from. So if they would have did it the other way, his hernia would have probably been pretty bad. They had to cut through his groin in order to get the bullet, just so we could be clear. So got messed up. And the bullet was removed from his right groin. So real quick, so we can understand who this Chris Vincent is. Chris Vincent was the dude that was in the room below the room where all of this happened at. So basically, someone, and the government is saying that it's Taxstone, and Taxstone people is basically saying it's Troy Ave, shot through the floor. The bullet went through the floor and hit dude. When the bullet hit dude, I don't want to mark myself. I'm going to use the pillow. Let's say this is the chest. Let's say this is where the heart is, right? This is where the heart is. Let's say that this is where the heart, I don't even want to use my own thing. Let's say the R is where the heart is. The bullet went in him on an angle right here. Let's say this is the heart. The bullet went in him right under the heart on an angle. And it came out and it went through and it hit in his hip, on the bone on his hip, and got lodged there. So it came straight down from upstairs. Why is this important? I would assume because are you saying that the person was firing straight down into the ground? Because if the person was shooting on an angle like this, just so we can be clear, we're just talking about physics and in relation. How things have spatial relations to one another. If someone is standing and they're shooting the gun, but it's aimed down like that, the bullet, I doubt, wouldn't have been able to come down at such an angle where it would have been able to hit any specific person in the top of their torso and then also stay inside of the body. It would be on an angle like that, right? Like if you're shooting a gun like that. So. And this is the part that I don't get or understand. Like the prosecution didn't jump on this. Like, I don't understand. Like, I guess they know stuff I don't. What the fuck, right? So basically that hints to a person firing the gun straight down. Just so we can be clear. The defense could have also jumped on this also, because part of the defense claim is that the only person who fired the gun was Troy Ave. And if that's true, they're saying Troy Ave shot himself, correct? Because the defense is claiming that the only person that fired a weapon is Troy Ave. That's what the defense is saying. So if the defense is saying that the only person that shot the weapon is Troy Ave, and so Troy Ave got shot in his legs, allegedly they're saying he shot himself, then that lends to the idea that he fired the gun straight down. So I don't know why no one jumped on that. I guess they got their reasons. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer. These guys are lawyers. Nobody jumped on that. I guess the defense also don't want to, because remember, all you're trying to do is, as a defense, you're not trying to prove your client innocent. All you're trying to do is show that there's holes inside of the case that, this case that you got against us. This ain't no real case. You know what I'm saying? It's a bullshit ass case. So you're just shooting holes in the case. So if you're trying to say, if your rendition of the events of the night is that Troy Ave shot himself, that would kind of possibly be the perfect opportunity to point out how the gunfire was straight down. So that lends to the idea that Troy Ave could have shot in himself. But I think that there's a little bit more logistics and problems there. So that's why they probably didn't want to say that. But the prosecution didn't jump on it either. So I mean, I don't get it. In any regard, the bullet had to have been coming at an extremely steep angle like this when he got when he got hit. The bullet had to be coming at an extremely steep angle, probably like this, probably a little bit like this, but not much of anything. It couldn't have been, or it wouldn't have been able to have that angle when it hit him. You understand? Unless his flesh is just so powerful that it was going like this, hit his flesh and then ricocheted. So I don't think that's happening. That doesn't sound very logical. In any regard, that dude had to lose intestine. He was the dude that was under the floor. He was the dude that was on the floor beneath them. He got shot. Boom. That's what happens. In any regard, what was the other thing I want to bring up real quick? Today was one of the days where all they did was talk about, just so we could be clear, they talk about, it looked like it was more like setting up. Like, it looked like today, okay, so it looked like today they was throwing the alley-oops for tomorrow or for in the future. That's what it looked like. It looked like today they was loading the bases. It don't look like anybody was swinging for the fences. It looked like they was bunting. It looked like they was, hitting choppers. Hold on. It looks like they was throwing bunt, that they was loading the bases. It didn't really look like they was trying to do too much. Once again, the people who was on the witness stand today was all logistic people. It wasn't anybody that was there that could really tell you the events of the night that happened when the shooting happened. It was all logistics. So what it seemed to me is that there's going to be some questions that's going to be asked by to the actual witnesses there. Like, I believe Troy Ave is going to get some questions, whoever the other cooperating witnesses, and I believe the questions that they're going to give them, they basically need to get this other information into evidence first. Okay, so I'll just explain a little bit about the best way to actually do a case if you want to prosecute somebody. What you want to do is you want to have whoever your biggest witnesses is, and this is another reason why I'm saying the shit that happened with Megan Thee Stallion, it didn't make sense. Like, what happened to Tory Lanez just didn't make sense. Like, it just didn't make sense. Like, you understand? Like, the whole trial was just done wrong. What in the hell, fam? Look, so when Troy Ave and whoever the other cooperating witnesses takes the stand, they're not going to be able to answer questions, medical questions, because they're not doctors. So you're not going to be able to ask them any questions based on medical information. You're not going to be able to ask them questions based on the logistics of the phone company. So what you do is you have the doctors come, right? What you do is you have the phone information dissected and then curated in a manner so you can then later on, when you ask specific questions, you could use the information that's already on file in order to basically co-sign, in order to give context to contextualize what they're saying. So they have the one dude that's going to be testifying, the Malcolm guy, and he's the individual that allegedly Taxstone told that he shot Benga, that allegedly Taxstone told he shot Troy Ave. So the reason why you will have the information, the person take the stand that's talking about the telephone information, the reason why you will have the person take the stand that's discussing how they know when and where these phone calls and what cell towers they pinged on, is because you're going to ask him questions and you're looking to ask questions that the defense is going to say, I object. And so because you have already had someone on the stand that is an expert and already recognized by the courts as an expert, and when they get on the stand and they say something that correlates with what the expert says, you're making it so that if the expert didn't come up there, there would be a reason, or there would be room for a objection. But since you have the expert, when they object, you're going to be able to say, wait, hold on. Go back to, we've already spoken about this, boom. And then you could bring it up in the transcripts. And then the judge has to allow it. That's what today was about. Today was about setting the alley-oops up so the other witnesses could get slam dunks. Today was about filling up the bags so the other witnesses could drive in some runs with a double, clear the bases. That's what today was about, just so we could be clear. And that's what I gathered from it, because they had one dude come on, and the only reason why he came on the stand was to authenticate the only reason why he took the stand was to authenticate the AT&T telephone information. He wasn't asked what the information meant for the most part. They tried to kind of ask him, like I told you, but it didn't work out well. He was just there to authenticate it. Then they had their own person that works in the DA's office that went and used that program I was telling you about. ARC G. I'm going to get the name of the program real quick. Y'all out here committing crimes, man. And I'm telling you right now, that era of committing crimes is over. Y'all just don't know it. Real shit. That whole era of committing crimes, that shit is over, homie. If you out there committing crimes right now and you free, it's because they just cool with you committing crimes and being free. They gonna double back and get you later. I promise. That's what type of time these guys is on. Hold on. I think the name of it is ARC, GIS. Yeah, ARC, GIS software. It gives you the actual longitude and latitude of the person making the telephone call. And they had him pinging in Brooklyn, the Bronx, California, and Atlanta. So what I believe they're going to do is, and when he was pinging those times, it's a good chance that he was speaking with the dude that they're going to have, the Malcolm guy, that's going to come and say what he said. Over the phone. Because remember, I think Taxstone did leave the city. They arrested him when he came back, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. When or how he got arrested. Give me 1 second. So to be perfectly honest with you, I think today is going to be much more eventful when we look a little bit further down the road, because so I'm sitting in the pews. I'm sitting in the court, and I'm busy asking myself. So we ain't get to that yet. Let's get to some of the cross examinations, and then you'll understand what I'm saying. But I'm sitting in the pews, and I think the prosecution was basically trying to set the defense up into saying certain things, so later on they can use that to their advantage. Now, also, I just want to add, the defense is doing everything they can with what they got. These lawyers are in no way taking their foot off the gas. They're the defense attorneys is working with everything they got. There's effort there. Regardless of what happens in this case, there is effort there. I don't want nobody to think that these guys ain't trying. There's effort there. There's a lot of effort. I don't think they have much to work with currently. I think they're going to do their best work when the actual people come up that's going to talk about what happened the night of. Because the individuals that they was testifying today is just talking about the logistics of it. And so they're experts in their field. So what are you really asking them? You understand what I'm saying? Like, are you trying to say that they're wrong? They're experts. So they're experts in their field. So the defense attorneys, they're working, but I believe that they're probably going to do their best work, or, oh man, water's boiling like hell. They're going to be able to do their best work when they're actually going to be interviewing people that say this happened, that happened, this happened, that happened. Not when they're interviewing the experts, because, you know, people were shot. They're saying people were shot. There was telephone calls made. They're saying telephone calls were made. They had one guy that said that they came to the building to drop Troy Ave off at the hospital. You understand? You can't argue against those things. You understand? There's nothing to say there. Those are just what happened. You can get clarification on certain issues. especially if you think something might pop up later. You can get clarification, but there's really not, you can't really argue the logistics of a thing. Wait, hold on. Now, give me 1 second. I'm going to tell you what I mean. Put it like this. People try to do those arguments in our chat all the time. So y'all should know what I'm talking about. When y'all hear me going back and forth with somebody, and I'm trying to explain that that's not an actual argument, but to them, they believe it's an argument. Because in their opinion, you understand what I'm saying? Even though the thing, it mechanically happened a certain way, in their opinion, it shouldn't have, even though it did. Like, you can't argue certain things. Like, it doesn't make sense. They'll look crazy in front of the jury, arguing logistics of something with bona fide professionals in their field. That doesn't make sense. Like how I'll say something, and it won't be my opinion. I'll just be telling you like what logistically happened. I'll just be telling you this happened, that happened, that happened, that happened. And then you'll have a person in here arguing with me because in their opinion, it shouldn't have happened. Like, what the hell are you talking about? You understand what I'm saying? Like, but it happened. You can't be mad at me that it happened. I never get it. So I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you. So there's not much they could have did with these specific specialists, or unless they themselves, well, I'm gonna take these shoes off. I hate wearing shoes in the house. Unless they themselves were going to bring their own experts to counter what was being said. But still in that regard, facts are just facts. You on the internet, people are too comfortable with arguing their opinion with a fact. You can't do that in a court of law. You understand? You can't argue your opinion against a fact in a court of law. People are too comfortable on the internet doing that. And that's one of the reasons why I think, in with all due respect, I don't think that there's a better person on the internet that cover court cases than me, in my opinion. Shout out to the Most High. All praise due to him. And I think one of the reasons is because people are too comfortable on the internet believing that their opinion supersedes a fact. That's just, people too comfortable believing that their opinion supersedes a fact. I want to get to the cross-examination. There was and then I want to get through all of this. I want to get to the part where I do my talking. Right now, I'm just doing my reading. So the abdomen was cutting the groin, boom, boom, boom. I left the stuff out. Nobody cares about it. Just stuff that's for me. He developed a hernia. Also, I didn't, just so we could be clear, all of y'all that take antibiotics, be careful. If you're taking too many antibiotics, you could prevent the body from developing, because our bodies develop their own antibiotics. So you could hurt the body from developing their own natural antibiotics if you take too many antibiotics. So also be careful about those chicks. And I guess it happens to dudes also, but I just only heard about a chick that she was telling me that this happened to her, that she had to take antibiotics so often that now they don't work on her and she got to go get a shot. And I'm busy like, bitch. I wouldn't even have used I know I used the condom, but now I'm concerned. Still. That actually happened to me. Some chick told me that. I was messing with some chick and she was like, just like randomly during the conversation, she was like, "Yeah, you know, I blase blah a couple of times." And I was like, "What in the hell?" Anyway, also he has a kidney function problem. The Vincent guy, real quick, we went to break, jury, the People's Exhibit 5 was Maggie Hextale, just so we could be clear. I didn't put no super extra notes here, so this is probably just nothing. She had a fractured femur. They had to put a rod in it. They did x-rays to a tibia and a fibia. That's the bones down there. Her femur had to get operation, like I said, where they inserted a rod. The bullet was not removed. It was lodged into the muscle too deep. They couldn't do nothing with it. She had to do a follow-up. The wound healed appropriately. But she does have a problem still. She still has a problem. Like she still has a problem like walking or whatever. Might not be bullshit. You know, we'd get hit by a car like 20 years ago and then still be like limping. Just I'm gonna get that check. But you know, she got shot. So we're just gonna say what it is. Doing cross-examination, I got some stuff highlighted for cross-examination. They did not treat these patients when they was admitted. The doctor that was actually on the stand, like I told y'all, he did not treat the patients when they were admitted. So therefore, he can say what was on the paperwork, but he didn't have any on-eye visual understanding of what happened to the patients and with the patients on the day of the actual thing. But he was able to just read the paperwork like anybody could have read the paperwork, but he wasn't there. So he couldn't have seen exactly everything that happened. So therefore, whatever the case is, he did not have an expectation of what could happen after seeing medical records. But he did have an expectation of what could happen. So since he didn't give them the actual, look them over when they were in there, the defense was like, well, then how do you could know what could happen if they didn't get any medical treatment? He also asked them that, by the way. We get to that. He said he didn't need to because of there's an expectation of when people get injured. You understand? Like so let's say you break your arm, right? A doctor come and set your arm and throw a cast on it. Another doctor takes the cast off of your arm and he's looking at your arm. There's an expectation there that doctor that took the cast off your arm and is now looking at your arm, that he knows what he's doing because he's did this a million times before. So he doesn't need to have been the one that set your arm, nor be the person that put your arm in a cast in order for him to have a rudimentary understanding of where you should be at, depending on how long the cast has been on your arm. So that's basically what the doctor was saying. I didn't need to be there specifically when all of these things happen to know what the healing process actually is and what they would be looking forward to. So boom. He was reviewed medical records a few weeks ago. So he only saw the medical records a few weeks ago. The doctor, this is what the defense was getting out of him. This is in cross-examination. The third person, he did not see at all. So he didn't see Maggie Hextall at all. He only saw the two men, Vincent and Chris Vincent and Troy Ave. That's the only people that he see. He did say that he could recognize complications, like I told you before, from the injuries, because he's been a doctor for so long. He could recognize if something didn't get treated. He was explaining it in court too. So he went the extra mile. He could recognize, the doctor was saying, he could recognize if something didn't get treated, what would happen because of, all of his history and actually being a physician. He did not treat Maggie Hextall at all. He only reviewed the medical records. Vincent, he didn't see him when he first came in. He saw him later on after he had already got treated. And his finding on the trajectory of the Vincent gunshot came from him seeing medical records, because he didn't see the actual wound in the wound. So when he says and when he speaks about how he had gotten shot or how the bullet went and traveled through him, he basically is just saying he just knew this through medical records. It wasn't because he did an actual he didn't give him an actual physical. He didn't actually physically see him when the wound was there. He just basically heard about what the other doctors said. And then that's when he came to court to tell him. Also, he said that the loss of his intestine was not significant. I want to be clear on this, and I want to explain what he said by this. So basically, and this was, I think, a great job by the Damn, the Knicks killed somebody. Hold on. The Knicks beat Brooklyn 114 to 118. I went to school 118. Shout out to that shit. In the Bronx. So basically, he said that the loss of intestines was not significant. I think that this was dope that the defense got this out of him. I don't know how this is gonna help Joy Ave, but it was dope that the defense got this out of him. Maybe that helps to remove some of the sympathy that people might have for the guy, or whatever the case is. I don't know. But basically, what he said is that for everybody that don't know, you know what our intestines do? I already knew this, but I don't know if other people know this. Our intestines absorb the nutrients from the food that we eat as the waste is passing through it. So if you have your intestines damaged, or if your intestines is like flared up, like a lot of y'all got flared up intestines, just so we can be clear. That's why your stomachs is looking like that. So, and like when your intestines get it flared up, or your intestines get whatever the case is, basically what's happening is it's not strong enough to pull the nutrients out of the food. That's what our intestine do, for everybody that don't know. The stomach dissolves of the food, pushes the food through the intestine, and while it's going through your intestine, the intestine is then absorbing the nutrients out of the food. What he basically said is that this was not a significant loss, because he's still going to be able to get his intestines is still going to be able to work appropriately. Basically, that's basically what he said. So it wasn't a significant loss of intestine, because his intestine is still going to be able to absorb the nutrients out of the food, and it's not going to be where, he can't get the nutrients out of the food anymore. Anyway, however, it was a significant event, he said, and he said, however, it was a significant event, just so we could be clear. So it's a big deal, but he's still going to be able to live, a pretty regular life. His intestines is going to work how it's supposed to work. It's going to do the job that it's going to do. Also, he said he only saw Troy Ave once. And he also got the guy to admit that if the orthopedic surgeon would have actually been on the stand, he would have been able to give a better prognosis. So, like I told you, these guys is doing everything they can with what they got. I'm not here rooting for nobody, just so we can be clear. I'm a whole underdog myself, so I would never root against nobody. You understand what I'm saying? I don't root against people. I'm an underdog. I don't root against people. So the orthopedic surgeon, he did get the guy to admit that the orthopedic surgeon could have given a better prognosis, but he was not there. So witness Philip Fanari, Fanara. He's an independent contractor for the AT&T. All he did was say that paperwork that they got was appropriate. That's it. The paperwork that they got from AT&T was the real AT&T paperwork. That's basically all that he said. You don't need to know his credentials. The court said his credentials is right. Anyway, we went to law. We came back, but he did admit that he is not an engineer. And he did say two people could be standing, and I did not know this. He said two people could be standing in the same spot using the cell phone, like one guy standing here and you're back to back. And shit, one guy standing here, other guy standing here, and y'all back to back. And he said, y'all could ping different cell towers. I did not know that. The more you know. Because basically, and I'll explain this, New York City apparently needs more cell towers because the density of the population. So what will happen is, if the population is too dense and too many people are trying to use the service at one time, it's like the bandwidth, I guess. They didn't use that word in court. I'm using that word now. I guess it's like bandwidth. I guess that's the best way to explain it for any of y'all that know anything about bandwidth. So if too many people are trying to use the phone at one time, the tower won't accept the transmission, and your phone is going to look for a tower that has room on it. So two people could be standing in the same spot. And that was dope that he got the dude to admit to this. So that was another good job by the defense. Two people could be standing in the same spot and ping off different towers. Just so we can be clear. Anyway, so then Marcel, because that guy was like much ado about nothing. Then Detective Marcel Alvarez came on. He is he's retired. He retired in 2022. He started in 2005. 7th Precinct Detective Squad. He worked in the 23rd person precinct, the 13th precinct, Night Watch, whatever that is, and also the 7th precinct. In the 23rd precinct, in the 23rd, he was a police officer, anti-crime, street narcotics, all of this other stuff. Y'all don't need, nobody cares about that. But I wrote it down anyway. I got all the stuff, but I'm just gonna skip through that because I'm pretty sure he's qualified. That's all you need to know. If y'all want me to read all of that stuff, I will, but I'm pretty sure y'all don't. But there's a lot of he's qualified. That's all you need to know. In any regard. So the night that this happened, he actually pulled up to Irving Plaza. He was a junior investigator, just so we could be clear. He took care of light cases like petty larceny, grand larceny. I guess this is light cases. Petty larceny, grand larceny, strong arm robberies, and misdemeanors. That's what he covered, right? His senior officer was Detective John Santiago. So they responded to Irving Plaza. Detective Santiago was the lead detective. You know, like when you see the detective shows and they got the one guy and he's the old grizzled veteran, and then they got the young buck that's always doing stupid shit like, I don't know, jumping off of buildings. So I guess that's who he was. He was the dude that was like jumping off of buildings and stuff. You know, the guy that's jumping off of buildings and stuff. Anyway, so he's the young detective, I guess, and the other guy's the old grizzled detective. And he said basically, I think the cross examination here was pretty decent. Also, hold on. We're gonna get to what they just got him to say. So the prosecution was talking to him, and basically, he said that young man dislikes. He said that when they got there, they was told that there was one young man that was shot. He was likely to die. There was another young lady that was hurt, and then there was a third dude that got shot. So that's what he got when he heard when he got there. They said that they accompanied Hextall to the hospital. She didn't talk about nothing. She didn't discuss nothing with them. She was like saying all of the least things. So she was not helping with the case at all. She was slightly cooperated. She cooperated slightly, I guess, you know, she told them her name, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But she didn't help them at all, apparently. And it was provided when they got to the hospital, they did get the bullet that came out of Troy Ave's knee also, just so we can be clear. Dr. John Chartel recovered the round. So then, like, he wasn't really saying much. So the defense took to the stand. The defense pulled up on him. Santiago was promoted and assigned to Alvarez, right? Whatever, right? So he was also new to it. He wasn't too old and grizzled. It was a very minimal police work done. This dude admitted on the stand, what up, Jazz? This dude admitted on the stand, just so we could be clear, that they didn't even try to solve the case. I'm gonna stop right here because I'm not gonna stop. I just want to explain this. This dude got on the stand and basically admitted that they wasn't even trying to solve the case, man. Nah, you can call me Frost, Jack, I don't care. So this dude got on the stand and admitted. This dude got on the stand and admitted that they really didn't try to solve the case. Like, admitted that he did no legwork. And what I mean by admitted, they was just asking him, okay, so what did you do? And he basically just kept saying nothing. He's the detective that was the lead detective, was basically his partner, right? And these guys admitted that they wasn't even trying to solve the case. I don't know what to do with that. What do y'all guys think about that? The dude got on the stand. I'm not even gonna lie to you. The defense was like, okay, so what did y'all do? He was like, nothing. Yo, no cap. When the transcript come out, you're gonna see just how close everything that I'm saying is to what happened. No cap. I mean, my name is Jack Frost. You can call me by my last name. You can call me Jack. I don't care. This dude admitted. That was just bananas. I'm sitting there like this. I'm writing. I look up. I'm like, like, hold on. I'm writing this shit. The nigga said, yeah, nah, we basically didn't do anything. Because that's basically, and he asked him like 3 times. Like, he kept asking him, so did y'all do this? Did y'all? He was saying, no. I don't know what to do with this. I'm just keeping it a stack with you. I don't know what to do with it when the dude admit that they weren't even trying to solve the case. Like, what do you do with that? What do you do? What the hell do you do with that? When the guy admits that they're not even trying to solve the case, what do you do with that? That kind of makes it look like y'all didn't do no, so you did no police work? And y'all the lead detectives on this. And y'all didn't know, y'all did minimal police work on a shooting where 3 people was shot, 4 people was actually shot. We just don't never hear about the 4th person. Y'all did minimal. Well, no, we do hear about the 4 people was shot. Y'all do minimal police work. 4 people was shot. Y'all do minimal police work? He was just literally admitting that they wasn't doing no police work, that he didn't do any police work. Nah, I didn't really do nothing. I don't know. I don't remember. I'm like, yo, this shit is crazy, yo. And this nigga got to retire? Like, that's crazy. First of all, that's crazy. That's crazy. Did they force him out? Like, did he get in trouble and they forced him to retire? They should have researched that guy. They were like, as soon as they saw his name on them, they should have researched that guy. Did he get dishonorably discharged? Like, what the hell happened? Was there a thing that happened, and then they said, we gotta fire you or you can retire, and he took the retire so he could keep his pension? Like, what happened? What the hell, fam? Very minimal police work was done after. I think he literally says that in court, by the way. He didn't even learn about the 4th shooting victim until later, after he learned about so he didn't even know about the 4th person that was shot. It's his case. He's one of the lead detectives, and he didn't even know 4 people were shot. He thought 3 people were shot the whole time. I don't know what to tell you. He did a very, very brief walk through the crime scene on the day of, and then he never went back, apparently. He admits that it was a huge crime scene, and he doesn't remember what the crime scene looked like. Dude, he said this on the stand. Maggie said she was in the green room, didn't say who shot her. So, yeah, so basically they're still leaning on the, how do y'all, nobody saw Taxstone shoot him, that's what they're leaning on. There was no conversation after the conversation in the hospital, and he doesn't remember if she was medicated. So he don't remember if she had got medication while they was talking, so he can't even say whether they was in the right state of mind or not. That shit is crazy bananas. That shit is crazy and bananas. I don't know what to tell you. That's crazy bananas. All right, so at 3 o'clock, okay, so that's the last witness. No, no, no. There's another one. So another officer, they have the officer that basically I'll just tell you what he said. There's no reason to go into it. They interviewed the officer. They interviewed the witness. They had the witness on the witness stand that he was the officer that when Troy Ave pulled up to the hospital, basically all he did was say was that homeboy came to the hospital. Um, Troy Ave's man came into the hospital, told the police officer that they needed a stretcher, and they went out to the car and got Troy Ave. That's it. And then he pulled the car around, and they showed them pulling the car around. Boom. All right. He was working at NYU that day. All right. So the cross examination, yeah, because it wasn't much. The guy didn't talk about nothing, yada yada, nothing happened. They used him to enter the NYU surveillance cameras. They used him to interview do the NYU surveillance cameras. Boom. That's it. Anyway, witnesses Molly Summers. She was working in the DA's office. She's the digital evidence investigative analyst. She's the lady that used the ArcGIS software that tells the longitude and latitude of basically where all the cell phone was happening. I'm guessing the main reason why they had her is because when they actually speak to one of the cooperating witnesses, they want to be able to line up the cell phone data with the conversations that the cooperating witness had. I'm assuming at this point. I don't know. All right. So then it's a whole bunch of stuff, the pings on which days, yada yada. This is probably going to come in handy later. The defense cross-examination. She was already a data specialist when she came to work for the DA's office. And she only looked at the phone records. And she was instructed to only look at specific dates. And she was instructed to a specific start date and a specific end date. So I'm not sure how any of that is going to be used later. Actually, I got an idea, but I'm not going to say it. Anyway, with that being said, if there's any questions, ask me any questions y'all have about anything that I just said. Or just in general about the case in general. I got through it. It took me an hour, 13 minutes. And I actually left a lot out because I didn't find it pertinent. There was a lot of things that they asked that I believe they're going to use for future reference or future purposes, just so we can be clear. So there was a lot of things that was asked that I think they're going to use for future reference, future purposes. So I didn't tell you absolutely everything that I got from the courtroom, but that's basically what just happened there. I will say this though, as far as with the evidence of the telephone evidence, I think that that's going to be big because they have the Malcolm dude who remember he's facing 45 years to life or something like that. 42 years to life or something like that. And he's the one that said that Taxstone told him that he shot Banger, and Taxstone told him that he shot Troy Ave. So I'm not saying that Taxstone did these things. I'm saying that that's what it's believed his testimony is going to be, as far as what the DA has already said, what the prosecuting attorneys already said, right? So, with that being said, whew, That's what I think that they're gonna use this cell phone technology in order to do, just so we can be clear. That's what I believe they're gonna be using the cell phone technology for, figuring it out where this person was at, when that person was at, when this happened, when that one happened. So yeah, so that's what it is. That's what I think is going on. So anything anybody want to ask me? We got 78 people in here. The only people that are gonna actually talk to me is the stalkers and the people that got mental health disorders. Um, I'm not sure exactly what I should be talking about right now to give better insight on what's going on. So if anybody want to talk to me other than the people with mental health disorders, that'll help me understand where it would be a good jumping off point for this aspect of the conversation. You know, if somebody besides the mental health disorder people want to talk, because if they're the only ones that want to talk, I'm not sure exactly what would be a good jumping off point in order for us to have a conversation. What up, King Will? He says salute. Anybody besides the mental health disorder people want to talk? Anybody? Is there anybody out there that want to ask me a question other than the people with the mental health disorders? I would like to hear. I don't know what to tell you, man. Only the people that's talking is the people with the mental health disorders. I don't know what we want to deem as good spirits. I think he had a nice suit on. He had the light suit. He had a nice tie and shirt on with the suit that he had. I like that. I like the outfit he had on. I like the tie and the shirt. That was lit. He didn't look like he was beaten down. He didn't look like he didn't look defeated. I'll tell you that much. Is that fair? He didn't look defeated. So I hope that answers your question. Remember, I'm looking like that the back of his head for the most part. He didn't look defeated. You know, he didn't look like, oh, this is the end. He didn't look like that. Yeah, he didn't look like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how you see those dudes and they be in court and you're like with all due respect, and I'm not trying to shoot at nobody, but you see how Young Thug be looking in court. Yeah, he didn't have that image. Thank you for commenting, because the only people that's really been talking to me, a couple of the BBN people been talking to me, the normal BBN people been talking to me, salute. But the only people that's been talking to me this whole entire show is the mental health disorder people. Thank you. I appreciate that. It feels good to not have to talk to the short bus guys all day. But, you know, sometimes I got to talk. See, there they go more the short bus guys. I just got to talk to the short bus guys all day. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. They laughing at me. They're just going to have to keep laughing at me. I'm going to court. That's my job. I'm not going to stop going to court. I'm not going to stop covering the case. Like, what the fuck? They're just going to have to laugh. They're just gonna have to laugh. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Do they want to take a picture with me? I'll take a picture with them. They want to take a picture? The judge says that he expects for it to last for about the 31st of March. So I guess the judge expected to go about 4 weeks. You know, this being the first week, right? About the 31st of March. I got my calendar on that phone. So. Does this phone even have a calendar? Hold on. This phone gotta have, all phones have a calendar, right? Boom. We all got calendars. Sheesh. Yeah, I don't like how this calendar looks though. Hold on. Get this out of here. Cancel. What the fuck, yo? Yeah, they got a lot more witnesses. Also, I expect for a couple of the witnesses to be more than one day. You know, I don't think all of the witnesses are gonna be like one day. I'm trying to. So I don't like the way this calendar looks. Like, what the heck, yo? Why the calendar looks like that? Hold on. Maybe if I hit that. Oh, there we go. So, yeah, they expect it to be 4 weeks. Damn, there's 5 Fridays. That's why she said she get 5 checks this month. I mean, 3 checks this month. It's 5 Fridays. Long story. Long story. Now I'm literally scrolling through my phone, seeing all of the months that got 5 Fridays. Is that a Friday? Yeah, that's Friday. So, anybody else want to talk other than the anybody else want to talk? Shout out to Walter Seymour. Anybody else want to talk other than the short bus people, other than the mental health people that follow me around? Anybody else want to talk? Anybody else want to talk other than the people that's jealous of me? Anybody else want to talk other than the people that's jealous of me? I think I gotta go get my shoulder looked at. My shoulder's messed up. I don't know if it's neck, shoulder. I accidentally slammed the door in the damn courtroom today, and it was so much by accident. That shit was loud, man. I have no idea. I don't understand jealousy, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. I literally don't understand jealousy. Like literally, I don't understand it, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. But I don't want to talk about that. Anybody else want to comment other than those people though, the mental health disorder people? Like I literally don't understand jealousy. Like I don't understand it. You understand? Like I don't know how to. Like you know how you could, like you know how some people don't understand astrophysics, like that. Like I don't understand it. Like it don't. I can't comprehend it. Um, no, I don't know. After this trial is definitely whenever they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do with Troy Ave. It's at the end of this trial. After this trial is over, when they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do with Troy Ave. Yeah, I don't understand it. Like I really don't. Like you would need to know me in order to understand when I say that I don't understand it. You understand what I'm saying? Like if you knew me, you'll be like, this nigga really don't understand being jealous. Like he really don't understand it. You have to know me. Like I really don't understand it. It don't make sense to me. So I could never tell you why somebody is jealous of anything. Because I can't even understand being jealous. I can't understand it. I can't understand not wanting to be who you are. Like I can't understand it. I can't understand. I don't know. I can't understand it. Like it don't make sense to me. Yes, Troy Ave is set to take the stand. He's a cooperating witness. So he's taking the stand in hopes of getting a 5K letter, 5K1 letter. So he's taking a stand in hopes of getting a 5K1 letter. Well, if he doesn't take the stand, just so we could be clear, hold on. I want to just make something clear for you, everybody that's saying, wow, I can't believe he's doing that. Just make something clear real quick. Excuse me. Give me 1 second. I think I was jealous once, like in 1989, when the Jordan 4s came out. Other than that, I can't understand it, to be honest with you. Other than that, I can't understand it, to be honest with you. I'm just being honest. I can't understand it. So Troy Ave is facing a max of 25 years for attempted murder, 15 years for 3 guns. So you think he should just, and these are things that he can't beat. They found the guns in his vehicle, and they saw him firing these are not things he can beat. So I'm not sure what you think he should do in this situation. Troy is contending that somebody tried to kill him. Troy is contending that someone tried to kill him. And that's how all of this happened. So that would be Taxstone's fault if what Troy Ave is saying is correct. All of Troy Ave's charges stem from the interaction that he had with Taxstone. All of the charges. So if Taxstone actually did create the situation, I'm not saying he did, but if Taxstone actually did create the situation, then you think, okay, this is the best way I could put it. And I'm not saying Taxstone created the situation. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that at all. That's not what everybody is saying, Walter Seymour. Everybody isn't saying that. You're saying that, and you're saying everybody's saying it. Just like we had that person in here that just said that I tried to do something for $200. That's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. But they're saying that, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to convince people that that's what happened. No, everybody is not saying that Troy Ave, just so we can be clear, initiated the situation. I've spoken to people that have said different. So that's absolutely 100% not factual. You believe that Troy Ave initiated the situation as your opinion. You're trying to use your opinion as a fact. I get it. You don't like Troy Ave. You like Taxstone. I get it. Well, some people are saying it, and some people are saying the other thing. No, it's your opinion. If you said everybody, when you said everybody, that is an opinion. Because everybody is not saying it. So yes, that is an opinion. Literally. So, okay. So the only person, okay, so okay, say whatever you want to say. I'm not doing this. Anybody else want to ask me some questions? Other than that, we're about to get up out of here anyway. Anybody else want to ask me some questions? Anybody else want to ask me some questions? Anybody else want to ask me some questions? Look at that. They don't worry, I kicked them. They cloned your account and I kicked them. Anybody else want to ask me some questions? You literally said, I'm not even talking to you because you're going to act like you didn't just say what you said. So you could keep saying what you want to say. I'm not arguing. I'm not standing here to argue with you. Like if you tell me something and then you pretend you didn't say it, and I don't really want to talk to you no more with all due respect. Because we're not having a real conversation then. You understand? See, we're not having a real conversation. You understand? I can't take nothing you say seriously because you just said something and then you said you didn't say it. Yeah, you did. I'm going to read what you just said just so we can be clear. You said from what everybody is saying, he initiated the altercation. I said that's an opinion that everybody is saying that because everybody is not saying that. And then you said, well, some people, not my opinion. No, you literally said from what everybody is saying. When you said everybody is saying it, that is your opinion because that's not a fact. They didn't tell us who's on the stand tomorrow. They don't. They haven't been doing that this particular trial. They don't do that, and not every trial does that. Remember, the judge doesn't determine who comes up. It's the defense. So the defense isn't saying who's coming up. So we don't know who's gonna be on the stand tomorrow. No idea. But it's the end of the week. Because Thursday is the last day. They're not doing there's no court on Fridays. So Thursday is the last day. So I would assume that maybe they want to finish the week off strong, right? Maybe they want to finish the week off strong. You know what would be crazy? I'm gonna tell you what's wild. Imagine somebody wanted to hurt themselves and then God got them to stop thinking that. Imagine the people who want to keep reminding them that they wanted to hurt themselves. Imagine how evil those people are. Oh man, that guy might not want to hurt himself no more. Let's keep reminding him in hopes that he actually decides to start wanting to hurt himself again. Imagine how evil those people are. I'm just asking. Imagine how evil those people are. Are you siding with those type of evil people? Or are you on the side of those evil people? I'm curious. Like, are you on the side of those evil people? Like, when you're watching a movie and you see somebody going through a hard time and they thinking that there's nothing left to do except for take their own life, and then something changes and they start feeling different. What do you think about the people that keep stalking them, trying to get them to take their life? Are those the good guys? Are those the people you rooting for? Or are you rooting for that guy to turn things around and start enjoying life again? Like, who are you rooting for? Are you rooting for the people that want the bad things to happen to that person? Or are you rooting for the people? Are you rooting for the person that's trying to turn things around and starting to love life again? Like, who are you rooting for? Team Healthy says, Fox 5 Team Healthy says, I had Kenneth Montgomery for my case in 2017. He a beast, and also the judges respect his work. No, he's been doing the best job that I would assume that he could do with what he has. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't think they've been dragging their feet. I think that they've been doing the best that they can with what they got. I just don't know what he has to work with. I don't know what evidence they do or don't have. See, we've just been hearing people talking. So I don't know what evidence they do or don't have. I don't know. I'm assuming he's doing the best with what he got. It's not hard to see competence in a person. Like, it's not hard to see that somebody is competent. You understand? So no, he looks uber competent. Pardon me. He looks extremely competent. He looks like he knows what he's doing. I understand that lawyers have to remove themselves from the situation, right? And they have to just argue the case. Not every attorney has the privilege to always pick and choose the people that they want to defend, right? Sometimes you defend the person for whatever the reason might be. But not every single time you defend somebody, it's because it's something like from your heart. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes you defend the person because that's just what's happening. You understand? Fox 5 Team Healthy said he gonna destroy them rats. We got to see what happens. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. I can't tell you what's gonna happen. Right? I don't even know if Troy Avenham was gonna testify anytime soon. I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know if it's a bad idea. So I'm just saying, like, you don't really. So I would never look at a lawyer. I would rarely ever look at a lawyer, and let's say, for argument's sake, I think that there's an attorney and he's defending somebody that I think is guilty. I'm not going to look at that lawyer and be angry at him. I wasn't angry at the people that was defending O.J. Simpson. The judge says to the 31st is how long it's scheduled to go. I wasn't angry at the people that was defending O.J. Simpson. Right? I don't think none of us was angry at them. We wanted them. I just want everybody to do whatever their job is at the best that they can do it. Period. Like, that's it. Like, that's it. I just want you to do your job to the best of your ability. I like court, be honest with you. Most of my favorite shows that I watch are court dramas. Most of my favorite books are John Grisham books, and he basically only writes about court. And I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I like well, my point is we have to have consistency. So the consistency should be that everybody has a right to have a competent attorney. That should be the consistency. That should always be the consistency. Right? Always the thing that should be the consistency is that everybody gets a competent attorney. That should be the consistency, period. No matter what the hell they did, a competent attorney and a good judge, period. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, right? And you could have a different opinion. So I think that that's the most important part of this, that everybody has a competent attorney, and he has a competent attorney. I don't look at anything and be like, yo, I wonder if a person is going to be found guilty, but I don't want a person to be found guilty. I wonder if a person is going to be found innocent, but I don't want a person to be found innocent. I don't want the killers on the street. I don't want the people on the street that's I think what we need to start doing is I think our society is suffering from mental health problems. And I think what happens is you get a group of people that have a mental health problem and they'll attach themselves to people who don't have mental health problems. And then you'll have a mental health problem because you got these people with mental health problems attached to you. You understand? Because all mental health problems basically is demonic energy. Just pay attention. You understand what I'm saying? Pay attention to what people are worshiping. You understand what I'm saying? So all mental health issues is demonic energy. And demonic energy could be transferred. Even over social media. You don't have to physically be with somebody to have demonic energy transferred to you. So that's basically what's going on in social media nowadays. Taxstone wouldn't be in the situation that he's in my belief, if he didn't take on other people's situations that had to deal with Troy Ave. I don't believe Taxstone will be in the situation that he's in right now. This is just my opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't think that Taxstone will be in the situation that he's in right now if there wasn't people pumping their fists to the trolling. If there wasn't people pumping their fists, if there wasn't people pumping their fists to whatever. You understand what I'm saying? And just so we could be clear, I don't worship Satan. Just so we could be clear. I just want to be clear on that. I do not worship Satan in no way, shape, or form. If I worship Satan, you know how angry he would be to me? Because I constantly read the Bible and I constantly tell y'all to do the opposite of what Satan do. So no, I don't worship Satan. Somebody came in here saying something stupid. But so you got to understand, all mental health issues is basically demonic energy being passed from one person to another. You think Taxstone did what his hand called for? I think that if there wasn't all of that internet beefing back and forth, which wasn't necessary on his side and on Troy Ave's side, I don't think this happens. Why do you think I don't want to beef with nobody? It goes way deeper than seeing somebody in public or seeing somebody in person and then we got to do whatever we got to do. It goes deeper than that. Once again, you're talking about what actually happened with the physical confrontation. I'm way before that. I'm way before that. I'm at the unnecessary beefing part. It's one thing to say something about somebody and then move on. It's another thing to say something about somebody and keep that shit going. You understand? Like, that's totally different. Right now, we have a ton of kids getting killed in the street. And the reason why these kids is getting killed in the street is for one specific purpose. One specific reason. And it's because they're beefing online with people and they going back and forth with the beefing online. That's why a lot of these kids is getting killed in the street. So then you got to look at our generation. What are our generation doing? Our generation is leading them to this behavior. Our generation is leading them to that. You got people that don't create any content but defamation content. You got people that don't create any content but disrespect the other people's content. You have people that don't create any content but hate content. They don't create any other kind of content. You understand? They don't want to create any other kind of content. You know, they don't have no God in them. Or the only thing in them is Satan and evil. So you got the children seeing that. You got the kids seeing that. You got the adolescents seeing that. You got the young adults seeing that. The people who their brain isn't even fully functioning yet. They hasn't fully matured into whoever they're supposed to be. And there's not enough people shooting that content down. There's too many people seeing that hateful content and they're embracing it. They're seeing that hateful content and they're like, oh man, that's just for laughs. Well, the Bible says that if you're saying something about somebody for laughs and it's disrespecting them, that's satanic. Literally. The Bible says that. That if you're making jokes at somebody else's expense to disrespect them, that's satanic. You're worshiping Satan every time you do that. The Bible says that. So, if you notice, I don't do that. At all. If you met me in real life and see the way I move in real life, you'll understand. That's the only way I can put it. I'm not on no type of time like that. Was I battling demons? I battled demons every day in my chat. For a while, those demonic energy, they was putting that demonic energy on me and I was going through something. I'm not going through that no more because I won't accept the demonic energy. You understand what I'm saying? But those demons that's inhabiting those people, They don't want those people. They want me. You understand? They don't want those people. Those people are of no value. So, or should I say, the only value that those people have is if they're using their demonic energy to encroaching on my life. Those people don't have no other value. You understand? So when we start looking at life like that, we'll start understanding that the things in which we do is curating the next generation. So when we're out there in the public, maybe we should conduct ourselves differently. When we're talking to people, maybe we should talk to them differently. How many nice things do you say to a stranger every day? How many nice things do you say to a stranger every day? Every time I get into a conversation with somebody, I try to compliment them. That's a fact. That's a 100% bona fide fact. And I'm not talking about, what up, Nick the Slick? I'm not talking about when I'm just walking past somebody saying, what's up? I'm talking about if I get into a conversation with you, I'm trying to compliment every single person I get into a conversation with. Every single person that I talk to for more than 4 or 5 sentences, I try to leave them with a compliment or a joke that they can laugh with, by the way. Something that lifts their spirit. That's a fact. That's a bona fide fact. So what you got to understand is I got the type of spirit Satan hate. And there's a lot of kids out there with that same spirit. Satan hate that spirit. So how do we protect our kids, our next generation? When we got all of these other people that Satan is already inhabiting them with demons. Satan's already got them. They got them. How do we save those kids that got to come into contact with them? Now, once again, this situation that happened, people want to talk about the night that it happened. I don't want to talk about the night that it happened. Not at least as its totality. I want to talk about the night that it happened as just simply an aspect of what was going on. What was really happening was you had 2 grown-ass men that for one reason or another, they decided to use social media to have their demons fight one another. That's what happened. So their demons was fighting each other on social media. I'm telling you what happened. So if you come to me and say he did what he had to do, nah, what he could have did was maybe 6-7 months before any of that happened, both of them could have just decided to stop talking about each other for a little while. A year before that happened, they could have both just decided to become interested in something else other than disrespecting each other. That's what I'm saying, with all due respect. People always want to talk about when the rubber hits the road. People don't want to talk about when they was putting gas in the car. I want to talk about when they was putting gas in the car. I just don't want to talk about when the rubber hit the road. Because when they was putting the gas in the car, that created the friction that transpired in that created the crash. That's the real issue. That's what's really going on. So what we gonna do? We gonna turn our heads and act like we don't see what's going on? When the demons show up to attack us, people turn your back on you when the demons show up to come attack you. I'm just telling you what it is. When the demons show up to come attack you, people turn their back on you. People don't know you no more. And as soon as the demons go disappear, and now you're able to be your most magnanimous self, then now people want to come back around you. Oh man, nah, man, we was always cool. But when the demons is attacking you, People go disappear. Tell me where the lie at. I'm here, I'm listening. People should have been trying to, this is just my opinion, I could be wrong, but people should have been trying to convince Taxstone and Troy Ave, why don't y'all just go in a different direction? But that's not what people were doing. I'm pretty sure people in both camps, people that both of these dudes knew, were saying, yo, screw that dude, he a sucker. I'm telling you. And now after all of this happened, after people lost their life, other people was injured forever that had nothing to do with this. Now what? Sheesh. It's telling you what it is, man. You can deal with however you want to do with it. None of this had to happen. When people realize that all of this extra shit that niggas is doing on the internet is literally Satan, it's going to be too late. The people that already know it's Satan, it's not going to be too late for them. But for a lot of people, when y'all realize that's Satan, when y'all realize it, it's going to be too late. You're going to already have chosen your path and not even know it. God gives you all of the chances in the world to be a part of his team with no strings attached. All you got to do is have faith and then have works. That's it. He doesn't want anything else from you but faith and works. That's it. Satan want everything from you. Satan want all of the extra shit from you. All God wants is faith and works. Works to prove your faith. That's it. You want to know when I actually decided like what really changed? I'm going to tell you what changed. When I realized all of these people that's doing whatever they doing is going to hell, when I realized that, and when I let that sink into my brain, that all of these people that's doing all of this weirdo shit to me on the internet, when I realized, you know what, these niggas is really going to hell, I realized what my calling was. You understand? I'm just keeping it a stat. When I realized, yo, these niggas is really doing all of it, they going to hell. Because none of them are going to repent. And they also not going to stop. So they going to hell. And in addition to that, so much shit has already been done that at this point, they would have to actually there has to be sacrifice. And since the Most High, Jesus Christ was sent here to be our sacrifice, so the sacrifice doesn't exist anymore, there has to be retribution. They don't even know how to do that. They don't even have the slightest idea. When I realized that, I just started looking at everything a little bit differently. Why do you think I'm constantly trying to tell people that here, if you like the platform, support the platform. Let your faith be works. Why do you think? Why do you think they constantly try to remind? I just want to explain something to you. Explain to you how Satan works. This is how Satan works. Satan always wants to remind you of something that you did that you don't do. Like, let's say if you slip up, let's say you work at a job, whatever your job is. Listen and pay attention. Let's say you work at a job, whatever your job is, and you have a bad week. Let's say you have a whole bad week. And in that bad week, you just had a bad week, but you didn't lose your job. You still got your job. What Satan is going to do is, Satan is going to want to remind you of that bad week every single day of your life. Like that bad week is the circumference of who you are. When in reality, that bad week was just a bad week. You know what God says? God says, I know what's in your heart. You understand? So anyone that is constantly trying to bring up your bad week, God would never do that. Only Satan would. In any regard. Is there anything else y'all want to talk about this? Because if not, I'm going to go get me some. I'm going to go warm me up something to eat. I'm hungry. Anything else y'all want to talk about? Because we on something else right now. The hell is this? Nope. Sheesh. My fault. I'm busy watching some chick do karate on social media. I don't know if Trife is cool with Troy Ave or not. I haven't gotten the slightest idea. Didn't ask him. I don't have the slightest idea. I have no idea. I have not the slightest idea. And you don't know what karma is, by the way. Not you, somebody else. I just kicked it. You don't know what karma is. And it doesn't delight me that you're going to hell, but it's kind of funny that you don't know. The person who I just kicked. It's kind of funny that you don't know. Because you do know. Like you do know. And that's why I'm going to make sure I live the rest of my life being the most perfect person possible. So every single individual that do me wrong will definitely go to hell. Yeah. That's my end game. See, I don't really want worldly things. So I'm going to live the most perfect, right life possible. So every single person that does me wrong has to face God's wrath. That's my revenge. Then it's not really revenge, because revenge is for the Most High. So my revenge is allowing for the Most High to have his revenge. Or get my revenge for me. And that's when I was able to be okay with all of this. When I realized everybody that's fucking with me is going to hell. Tomorrow I'm gonna go do some more good deeds. Every good deed I could do, every good deed I could possibly do, I'm gonna make sure I do. Every single good deed. Every time I could do something nice for somebody and I can do it, I'm gonna 100% do it. One, because I just like doing nice things for people, but it's gonna have that extra gravitas, that extra thing. Every time somebody see me in the street, I'm gonna be on my most perfect best behavior. They're gonna think I'm too much of a nice guy. Watch. They be like, that guy's too nice. Why is he such a nice guy? One, I like being a nice person. It's kind of dope. But yeah. Any regard, I'm assuming we don't have nobody in here talking tonight. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna make sure I'm just as nice of a person that I'm gonna be the nicest, most perfect person that I could possibly ever be in life. So every single person that has ever done something wrong to me, the Most High will come and avenge me. That's what I'm gonna do. I don't know what you're gonna do. And I'm already a really nice guy, just without any of that, without even trying, without even thinking about it. Literally, without even thinking about it, I'm a pretty nice guy. Just naturally, like naturally, I'm a nice person. Naturally, just naturally, just naturally, just naturally a nice guy. Just naturally. I like to say nice things to people. I like to compliment people. I like to make people laugh and enjoy themselves. Like just naturally. Just really naturally a nice guy. I'm just purposely putting effort into being nicer on purpose. So every single person that does me wrong, everybody that talks crazy about me, everybody that tries to hurt me in my life, God is going to come and act on my behalf. So I'm never coming for revenge. I'm never trying to do nothing to none of you niggas. niggas. No. I'm gonna let the Most High be my instrument. That's I can't even read the words on that phone. I'm just gonna let the Most High be the instrument. I'm just naturally, I'm just really naturally a nice guy, by the way. Anyway, I'm gonna let y'all go. Everybody enjoy your day. We pulling up in court tomorrow. At least that's the expectation. Everybody have a beautiful day. Um, just have a good night. Just if you got anybody still awake in your household, give them a hug. Tell them you love them. You don't never know what's gonna happen tomorrow. Give people their flowers while they still here. And before you go to bed and after you wake up, glass of water, because one of the best things you can have, first of all, drinking the water before you go to bed allows for you to wake up with more energy tomorrow. And drinking the water after you wake up is great because you don't have nothing in your stomach. So that means that your body can absorb the nutrients faster and more efficiently. So drink the water before you go to bed and drink the water right when you wake up. Also, that's another good reason why, you know how they be like, don't give the kids water because they're gonna pee the bed. I don't know. I mean, once those bladders start working right, you should probably give them a glass of water before going to bed, like room temperature water, by the way, not ice cold water. But like, let me get that ice cold water. No, not room temperature water, like 6 to 8 ounces of room temperature water before they go to bed. You know, once them bladders is working appropriately. Um, right? That makes sense, right? And make sure that they drink a glass of water when they wake up. Probably even before they brush their teeth, because water, everything tastes disgusting after toothpaste. I don't use toothpaste, by the way. I use baking soda peroxide. But everything is disgusting after toothpaste. Absolutely everything. So, move to the baking soda or the peroxide, or you could just let them drink a glass of water before they actually brush their teeth. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do that. Anyway, in any regard, whenever you're helping somebody else be the best them that they could be in that moment, you being the best you that you could be. So go out there and be great. God first. Like, comment, subscribe. Join the notification game. Hashtag Bronx Bowmans. Let's get it. I love y'all. Take care of each other. Hug the kids for me. I haven't forgotten about you. And that's all I got in this one.